Today in Albany, a school coach faces serious charges and loses his job. A concert downtown turns chaotic with a deputy injured, and school boundaries still echo the red lines of the 1930s. We'll also look at the Hudson River fish advisories half a century on, and the closure of a longtime nursing home that many here once simply called home. Welcome to the City Report here in Albany. Let's open with the big one. In Amsterdam, the Greater Amsterdam School District, that's the public school system serving the city of Amsterdam in Montgomery County. The district has fired assistant coach Jared T. Balduzin after he was charged with third-degree rape and a third-degree criminal sexual act. Prosecutors say the alleged conduct happened in spring 2024 in Amsterdam and involved a student from Broad Alban Perth Central School District. That's a neighboring district west of Amsterdam where Balduzin previously worked as a teacher's assistant and coach. Here are the essentials. Balduzin had been placed on administrative leave by the Greater Amsterdam District before the school board voted in March to terminate his employment. At the time of his arrest, he was working for the New York State Thruway Authority, the state agency that operates the toll highway running the length of New York. He was arraigned and released on his own recognizance. The charges are felonies, and he has not entered a plea in this case as of this report. He is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. This case has renewed calls for rigorous background checks and ongoing monitoring of school employees. Districts typically vet hires up front. The harder part is catching issues that emerge after someone is on staff, especially if alleged conduct happens outside the workplace. Background checks are only as good as the follow-through, and communities deserve answers about how gaps get closed. My take, briefly. Releasing a defendant on such serious charges without bail feels like a gap in public safety, though judges are bound by New York's bail laws and the facts before them. If nothing else, it underscores how our legal standards, our school safeguards, and our expectations for student safety don't always line up neatly. Time to dig into the details and close those gaps where we can. Let's pivot to the next story. Downtown, a 21-year-old man from Troy, that's our neighbor city across the river in Rensselaer County, is facing charges after a run-in with deputies at Cloverfest, the hip-hop concert at MVP Arena in Albany. MVP Arena is the big event venue on South Pearl Street. The Albany County Sheriff's Office, which is the county's primary law enforcement agency outside the city departments, fields rotating details of 3 to 4 officers for events there. According to the Sheriff's Office, venue security had trouble ejecting the man, who was described as acting irrationally. Deputies stepped in. During the struggle, a sergeant was allegedly punched. That sergeant was injured and treated at a local hospital. The man is charged with second-degree assault, resisting arrest, and obstruction of governmental administration, and was scheduled for arraignment in Albany City Court. Sheriff Craig Apple, the elected sheriff of Albany County, said bluntly that everybody was intoxicated at the show. Well, that's one way to summarize the mood. A few points worth noting. The exact number of deputies on the scene wasn't immediately clear. Incidents like this speak to the tough balance at large, high-energy events. Keep lines moving, keep people safe, and intervene fast when behavior crosses a line. Better coordination between venue security and law enforcement, clear ejection protocols, and sober ride options reduce flashpoints. Not the encore anyone asked for. Moving on. Schenectady's school attendance zones. Those are the maps that assign students to specific neighborhood schools, and they still mirror the redlining maps drawn in the 1930s. Redlining was a discriminatory federal-era practice that graded neighborhoods largely to deny mortgages and other investments to immigrant and black communities. The result today, according to a new report, is that students from historically underfunded parts of Schenectady are still much more likely to be locked into lower-performing schools simply because of their addresses. Albany, by contrast, began moving toward open enrollment in the 1990s and built up magnet schools to broaden options. Open enrollment lets families apply to schools outside their assigned zones. Magnets focus on themes like STEM or the arts to attract a diverse mix. Carlos Cotto Jr., the district's top administrator since 2024, has inherited a map that, in some places, still traces those old lines so closely it splits a block mid-street. The calls now are for boundary reviews, wider open enrollment, and policies that don't just shuffle seats, but actually equalize opportunity and resources. Some lines never should have been drawn, let alone still followed. My view is simple. Schenectady can take a page from Albany's playbook and modernize its zoning so a 5-digit zip code isn't a life sentence in an under-resourced classroom. The lower 200 miles of the river were declared a federal Superfund site by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. The EPA ordered a massive cleanup in 2002. Dredging ran for years and wrapped in 2015. Even so, PCB levels in fish remain high enough that the state still advises limited or no consumption, depending on species and location. Compliance with those advisories is uneven, especially among immigrant communities who may fish to feed their families and may not see or understand the warnings. That's made worse by signage that still isn't posted in all the languages people speak along the river. Environmental groups argue that warning signs are not a long-term strategy. They want further cleanup action and stronger accountability. Regulators counter that recovery takes time as contamination works through the food chain. A prior EPA review even suggested that some fish might not be safe for weekly consumption until 2072 or later. Half a century of advisories is long enough. My view is we need a 2-track fix, multilingual outreach right now, and a bolder plan to get the river truly fishable sooner rather than when the grandkids are retired. Let's not overcomplicate this. Last up, a closure with real human stakes. St. Peter's Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Albany is shutting down. The facility opened in 1958, originally known as Villa Mary Immaculate. It has for decades been part of the local long-term care fabric. Administrators say the aging building needs costly upgrades that don't pencil out, especially with staffing challenges and tight reimbursement rates. Only about 11% of residents paid privately. Most relied on Medicaid, which typically pays facilities less than the cost of care. Residents will have to relocate, and staff are being offered roles elsewhere in the same health network. This follows the 2024 closure of Ellis Residential and Rehabilitation Center in Schenectady, another sign that our region's nursing homes are under strain. When a facility built back when Elvis topped the charts can't afford to meet code and staffing demands, you're seeing a system where compassion and compliance are too far apart. What's the takeaway? We need a workable plan for long-term care, better staffing pipelines, realistic reimbursement, and capital dollars to modernize buildings. Otherwise, more closures are coming and families will be left driving farther for fewer beds. Time to cut to the chase and fix the financing. And that's your report for today. Thanks for tuning into the City Report with Dean Bark in Albany. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.